So we left you here 4 days ago when Atish and Suvrat barged in when I was doing the verdict on the Royal Enfield Meteor. Now, I understand why they're here, because a motorcycle can only be good or bad vis-a-vis its rivals. Perspective is everything. And even though the Meteor has no straight up rivals, because this is a cruiser, neither the Imperiale nor the Jawa are proper cruisers, but you need these motorcycles here for perspective. Atish, why is the Imperiale here? What is its strong point?
So we actually did a very similar comparison test last year where we put the Imperiale up against the Jawa as well as the classic 350, and the Imperiale, it came out on top. So I think it deserves to go up against what Royal Enfield's latest 350 offering is.
And Suvrat, Jawa?
Why is the Jawa part of this comparison test? Well, it is the most retro and yet the most modern, and when you hop onto the saddle, it feels sporty and rides exceptionally well.
So we have the Jawa, which is sporty and good looking. We have the Imperiale, which is the winner of the previous test, and we have the all new Royal Enfield Meteor. Which comes out on top? That's what we're going to find out. But before that, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it, and drop us a comment. Let us know what you think is the best motorcycle in this classic segment right now. Let's start the riding with the Jawa, which really is the most sporty bike in this test. Now, this is not a cruiser. It doesn't look like a cruiser and it doesn't feel or even ride like a cruiser. It's got a sporty riding position. The bike feels much smaller than the other two, more nimble, more chuckable, and more enthusiastic. This engine, let's talk about that. This is a 300cc engine and it is liquid cooled. It also has a 6-speed gearbox, so it has a wider spread of gears to play with. It is lighter than the Meteor. It has got more power than the Meteor, and consequently, it is faster than the Meteor. It is also faster than the Imperiale. So this is the fastest bike in this test. It is the sportiest. It feels the sportiest. The chassis, it is eager, nimble, agile, quick to turn, and because of the riding position, you feel more involved in the bike, feel more connected, and it feels more sporty. Downsides, the vibrations. This is supposed to be a more sophisticated engine than the other two, but wow, you can really feel the vibes, especially through the foot pegs, but also through the seat of your pants and the handlebars. This really needs sorting out in terms of the amount of vibrations that are fed into the rider. Maybe it's done so that the rider feels more connected with the riding experience, I don't know, but this is a bit too vibey for my liking. It is also stiff. Now it handles well, which I'll come to in a bit, but it is stiff and that doesn't make it as comfortable as the other two, obviously. And even though the handling is good, the problem is the ground clearance. So if you start to lean enthusiastically, the main stand or the exhaust or I don't know what, but they start to scrape. And while some people really like that, I hate parts scraping, and that really loses all cornering confidence. At least to me, that makes you think twice before you lean it into a corner, and it robs the Jawa of its inherent enthusiasm and agility. It's weird, a bike that is sporty, but you can't really ride it very sportingly, because otherwise stuff will start to scrape and grind. Now I must thank you guys for this motorcycle. We asked Jawa for the Jawa, but they couldn't get us a bike, and that's why we had a shout out on our Instagram handle, and a lot of you guys got back to us. Rupesh, he brought down his Jawa all the way from down, which is some 80-90 kilometers from Pune, and joined us on this shoot, loaned us his bike. So thank you guys for responding to our calls. If you'd like to be part of our shoots, just drop us a DM and we'll keep you posted, and we'd love to have you on board on our shoots and tests. So thank you guys once again for responding to our shout out. Now I don't know why Jawa are so reluctant to give us test motorcycles, because it's not like there are some major quality issues either. This motorcycle has been trouble free, and that the owner has told us that it is trouble free. It's only a lambda sensor issue which the company has promised to replace under warranty, and that's about it. So I don't know why they're so reluctant. In fact, the first time I rode a Jawa was nearly a year after it was launched. I didn't go for the media rides, and then after that Jawa took almost a year to give us test motorcycles, and then occasions where I've ridden a Jawa have been very few and far between. Again, don't know why, but they really need to get us riding their motorcycles. In fact, all of the manufacturers give us long-term test motorcycles so that we spend considerable amount of time and can also evaluate quality, livability, and all of those other parameters that don't really come across in a short road test. So anyway, to the Jawa, and to sum up, it is an attractive looking motorcycle. It turns heads, it is fun to ride, it is sporty, it is engaging, and it stays true to its roots, honestly. Jawas back in the day were also sporty motorcycles, and this new Jawa is also a sporty motorcycle. Shame about the ground clearance, which really robs it of serious handling chops. Imperiale has been designed with the Royal Enfield Classic 350 in mind, straight off. Years ago I saw sketches of the Imperiale. That was when DSK used to run Benelli's operations in India. Then DSK went broke and Benelli had to finish off the bike on their own and then also put it into production. So that's why India was not the first market where the Imperiale was launched, but the Imperiale was designed for India and to get Benelli volumes in India. The plans were huge. Now with the new importer / distributor in India, the Imperiale is back here. It's got a 400cc engine, so a little bit more capacity than the Royal Enfields that it was targeted at. But in terms of performance, it is more or less there. It is a smooth engine, no doubt about it. But at times, it can give you a jerk or two in terms of the fueling. But overall, it's a nice motor. The gearbox is smooth. But what I don't like is this chassis. The suspension is not well tuned, especially not to our Indian roads, and it is never settled. So you hit a bump and then it doesn't settle immediately. It does a jig once, twice, and then it settles, and by the time you've hit another bump, and then so you're constantly jigging around the place. So it's not settled and it's not comfortable either. Now I don't think there's anything that can be done to the riding position, but the chassis definitely can be sorted out, especially in terms of the suspension, and also better fueling so that this motor revs properly without that slight hesitation at times. It's a nice sounding engine, and like I said, it is smooth. But would I recommend this over the other bikes? Not really. This is not something that really appeals to me, neither does its styling nor its dynamics. And in terms of the pricing also, it is expensive, just under 2 lakh rupees. So it's more expensive than the Jawa. We don't yet know what the Meteor will be priced at, but we expect the Meteor also to be under 2 lakh rupees. So this will still be the most pricey bike in this segment. And this is a price conscious segment, so it's a tough ask for the Benelli. The redeeming qualities of the Benelli is this engine, which is smooth, it is refined. In terms of performance, it is more or less on par with its rivals, and also the gearbox is smooth, not a single false neutral. It's a modern power plant, though it is still a 5-speeder, it's not a 6-speeder. This engine also has got good low down grunt, pulls nicely, revs freely. So would I recommend the Imperiale? Well, it's tough, to be honest. So after riding the Benelli and the Jawa, what does the Meteor feel like? Now, first things first, the riding position is very nice. The Jawa is a more sporty riding position, which I like, but this is more comfortable. The more time I spend with the Meteor, the more I like its riding position. It is also more comfortable. The Jawa is supposed to be sporty, but its ground clearance is a big issue, and the side stand or the exhaust, I don't know what, but it touches when you're going around corners. Whereas the Meteor, it is not a sporty bike, but it handles much nicer. It is more neutral. Its riding position isn't all that conducive to sporty riding, but the chassis is just so nice, just so easy, so responsive, and so confident. The Jawa is more eager, for sure, like I said, more sporty, but on the whole, the balance of the Meteor is nice, and plus the ride quality. The ride quality is important, and the ride quality of the Meteor is very nice, it's very comfortable. The ride is good. A few gravel patches don't really make it nervous. It's just a testament to the UK Technical Centre that Royal Enfield has, that was responsible for the Interceptor 650 and now the Meteor, plus their ownership of Harris, who make really good frames. It's all evident. This Meteor is so nice to ride. The more you ride it, the more you like it, the more you appreciate it. When I first saw it, it was like, okay, this is an evolution of the Thunderbird. How good can it be? But then a day, 2 days of riding it, and the more you ride it, the nicer it feels, the nicer it becomes. And then I must also mention that Royal Enfield, you don't buy just a bike, you buy into a community of proper hardcore bikers. So you have the fringe bikers, you have the hardcore bikers, you can gang up with a bunch of like-minded riders, head to the Himalayas on the Himalayan Odyssey, rides all over the country. That whole community is a really big part of why you would buy into the Royal Enfield fold. I think riding, it can be enjoyed on your own, and it can also be enjoyed with your friends, and the Royal Enfield community, it really is conducive to that. I don't think it's the case anymore, but earlier with Royal Enfield, the quality was always a joke, always a question mark. This new Meteor, it feels really well built. After 3 days of riding it around, there's been no rattles, no squeaks. It's just that these mirrors shake a bit too much when you go over bumpy roads, and at idle, the mirrors vibrate a fair bit. But otherwise, the quality is very good, the refinement is good. You don't get all those vibes through the foot pegs, through the handlebar, through the seat. It's a very defined motor, very smooth, but it should have got 4 valves. Having just 2 valves, a single overhead cam, is a cost-cutting move on the part of Royal Enfield, obviously, to make it more cost competitive against its rivals. But in this day and age of really strict emission norms, a 4-valve head would have worked much better. Obviously, the Meteor meets all emission norms, but with a 4-valve head, it would have allowed it to breathe better, rev more eagerly, and of course, make more power. The Meteor is not the quickest in this test. That crown goes to the Jawa, which is both lighter and makes more power, but otherwise it's a simple, basic, bare bones motor. It's got a counterbalancer to make it smoother, and that definitely works. And overall, I think it is well suited for Royal Enfield's intended target audience. The Meteor is not targeted at the KTM crowd who wants mad acceleration and mad power. This is targeted at the touring kind of guy or girl who wants a bike for maybe the weekends. You can use this on an everyday basis. It will be affordable. We don't know the pricing as of now while doing this comparison, but I expect it to be well under 2 lakh rupees. So you can buy it on impulse, or you can buy it as your daily ride, and it works well in all situations. The Meteor is the replacement to the Thunderbird, and when you compare it to the Thunderbird, the Meteor has a much nicer riding position, a far more refined engine, far better quality, looks nicer and more modern, retro modern to put it in the right phrase, goes much better, handles much nicer, it's more confident, more stable. The Meteor moves better, more confident, more stable, more fun. That is the most important part. This is a fun motorcycle. I have always had a soft spot for Royal Enfield. I'll not make any excuses for that. But just putting my pure road tester hat on, there is nothing not to recommend with the Meteor. People who know their bikes will tell you that this Meteor is a very good bike. very well turned out. But the beauty of the Meteor is, unlike earlier products where the last 10%, 15% of R&D was done by the owners, this is a finished product. It actually follows in the same vein as the Mahindra Thar with the new Tatas like the Altros. Our Indian manufacturers have really sorted out their R&D. They're making bikes that we would actually put our own money down on it. I'm honestly surprised by how much I like the Meteor. I'm used to considerably more powerful bikes. I own a 14R, for instance, so you're not chasing lap times with this. You're not trying to beat your home to office record with the Meteor. It's just there for the pleasure of motorcycling. And that's it. It is really enough. More powerful bikes, you're constantly on the lookout for dogs crossing the road, people coming from the wrong side, bumps on the road, all of that. Whereas with this, you're riding at a relaxed pace and you're enjoying yourself. It's that simple joy of motorcycling, and that's what the Meteor delivers. Not too complicated, not too much in the way of sophisticated equipment, just easy riding. An easy rider. So in terms of the power figures, the Meteor makes 20.2 bhp, 27 Newton meters. It is 8 kilos lighter than the outgoing Thunderbird, more or less the same power, so obviously it is quicker. The power is made also higher up in the rev range. It revs better, revs higher. The bottom end grunt is stronger. Does it feel like a Royal Enfield? In some ways, yes, because there is that slight thump that you still get from this engine, but it doesn't have that really long stroke. It is slightly shorter in terms of the stroke, but there is that hint of it being a Royal Enfield. There is that hint of a long stroke motor, and that's nice because that's the character of all Royal Enfields, and this one traces its character line back to the Thunderbird, the Classic, and the Bullet.
A day riding these classic motorcycles, what do I think? Let's start with the Jawa. The Jawa, if you have memories of that old Jawa, this is the bike for you because it looks exactly like the old Jawa. This is not retro, this is classic in its design, and it still does turn heads, let me tell you that much. Plus, it also connects with the whole Jawa legacy in terms of its sportiness. So the riding position is the most sporty. The engine, it is the most powerful. It is also a liquid cooled engine, so it is the most sophisticated engine in this lot. In fact, it is the best handling, but it is affected by the ground clearance because things start scraping, so you actually can't carry as much speed as it can carry through corners. As for the Benelli Imperiale, well, this is a game effort at Benelli in cracking this segment. It is a very hard-fought segment, and these two have got tons more history and legacy in this segment. But it does make a game effort, though the pricing after BS6 is gone a little too expensive. As for the Meteor, I think it strikes the right balance. The right balance of comfort, of rideability, of handling, of engine refinement, and of performance. You could ask for a little more in all those respects, a little more in terms of fit finish also, but eventually this is the best package in this segment, the nicest motorcycle, the motorcycle I'm going to ride home this evening. Subscribe to the Evo India channel and hit the bell icon to keep pace with the thrill of driving.